Well, we're here. We're live. We're doing it again.
Hi everyone,
Oh, I'm Melody.
and I'm Dean.
Yeah, I should probably just say Mel since that's what the introduction said. And I am so hot right now, I might die. It's not even the heat, it's the humidity. It's just killing me. But you wouldn't understand in the Philippines about humidity and heat.
It's always hot in here.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it. How are you doing today?
Good, and I just got some time with my dogs.
Nice.
Did you see my photos a while ago?
Very
And
cute.
I had my Facebook Live with our one of our employee Z
Very.
this afternoon, and it was so amazing. I mean,
Wait,
I
you already had it? I thought it's tonight and I wake up at 4 a.m.
no, it's Friday. I mean
Yeah,
Friday.
Friday
4
for
p.m.
me. Oh my
our time,
gosh.
and it's Friday 4 a.m. your time.
Yeah, Friday. Oh my gosh. In my head, if you don't go to bed, Friday 4 a.m. is like when you keep going on Friday. So, of course, this is the first lesson about having VAs is that you have to get the times right.
Yep.
Because this is a common issue that, for me, mostly just for me, not ever remembering the time difference and how that works. And for those of you who are wondering, it's 12 hours later in the Philippines than it is on the eastern coastal America where I am. So let's get started talking about how we find people a VA and how, if they don't want to use us or can't afford to use us, how they can get their own VA on their own.
Yep.
So we got a lot of help over time figuring out our processes for certain. I bought a lot of books. I read a lot. We researched. Kedma, my business coach, was super, super most helpful and really pushing me to, do more with VAs. And it turned out that we're really good at this, you and I, Dean. So we made it our job. So one of the questions I keep getting, how we're like so immersed in it right now that we are not able to see the beginning anymore. And so I'm really trying to think of it from a beginner's perspective of when I didn't know about virtual assistants, when it was all new. And one of the first things that feels scary is having to think about the tasks they'll do, at least for me, and I think for many people that we've spoken to. And so we've made that easy for people by creating a questionnaire that does take a little bit to fill out. It takes about 20 minutes, but it covers everything you have not thought of. Not you personally, Dean, but the person we're talking to. And it would basically, any task that a VA can do, we've put on this questionnaire. And so that's like the first thing that they do is figure that out. However, we do have a sheet that we can send to people if they're interested. Remember the sheet I did for one of my first, the Clippa thing that I did a long time ago? We made like a what can a VA do sheet.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
We'd have to update it, but we could definitely send that to people who want to get their own VA so they could get started and just kind of thinking about what a VA can do. We also send people a mindset video because I think a lot of people are very, think they're ready for a VA because they have a lot of work, but their head is not ready. They're not emotionally prepared to take somebody on, and then that doesn't work very well. What are your thoughts, Dean, so far?
I mean, I'm so excited to share this process to our clients. I mean, for all these 3 packages that we have. So, Mel, is it okay for me to start this first package process?
No, it's not. But also we should say, I think in this, and we didn't discuss this beforehand, but most of our packages share a lot in common. So maybe we should just start by talking about the process, the commonalities in the process, because it's not just for our clients, it's also for anybody who wants to get a VA, because that's part of the mission is, and we have a class that we will be putting out I like to say the word soon, because soon can mean anytime. And once we do that, we'll be teaching people like how to do it themselves. But until then, we kind of are just giving away information because, you know, some people are going to be really good at this and some people are going to need our help. But I want everybody to learn how, because it's going to change people's businesses. So why don't you start with like the things we do, describing what we do up front to help people kind of get onboarded to us, to our company.
Yeah. So, hi everyone. Good afternoon and good morning. I don't know your time zone is, but yeah, we have three packages, and the first one is the DIY package. The DIY package is the lowest price package, Mel, and it is meant to be almost like completely automated on the client side, and so that we won't have to do any in-person like meetings. And for the pro package, it is almost exactly the same to DIY package, Mel, because we also, you know, we will create a training plan for the client, and then and for the virtual assistant, and we will meet them for a 30-minute meeting session. And for the executive package, the client needs ask for an hour, learn of about what they want. We train a VA for 40 hours, and we will meet them again for 30 minutes to introduce and go over the future plan. So
You missed a couple things. So, ow, my couch is poking me. Oh,
uh,
Max has a pencil in my couch.
I'm so sorry to interrupt, Mel. There's four viewers, you know, watching right now. So hi, you can like comment or just say hi.
If you have questions, especially.
Yep.
Hi, Ed, Keefe. Yeah, I'm outside right now. I'm not in my house. Anyway, thank you. My background is nice. I know you didn't mean that sarcastically. Anyway, what I was going to say, Dean, is that the couple things that you did forget are that with the DIY package, the reason why we automate it as much as we do, basically all we're doing is finding somebody a VA. They're going to tell us what they're looking for. We find that person and we introduce them and we send them on their way. Everybody that we, hey.
Hi, Jordan.
Jordan. Everybody that we onboard is going to get kind of like a packet to help them get started with their VA, and their VA is going to get a packet too. And that will include like kind of a communication best practices, because we have we have the VA and the business owner take a DISC behavioral assessment, which will help kind of find complementary styles, like work styles. And we create a cheat sheet on how to work together. And that's not going to solve all communication issues, but it's going to like really help you to kind of get a jump start on that. We also talk about cultural best practices, both on the American side and on the Filipino side, so that, you know, because it can be confusing working with other countries. Like America is very American. We like,
and Filipinos are very shy.
Yeah, so we sometimes I've traveled a lot in my life. I love other cultures and studying them and being in them. And I've learned over time, like all humans are the same. We all want the same things. However, culturally, we have different things that we do, and what works in the Philippines is not always going to work here. So we talk about that. What else do we give them for the pro and the executive, we do give them a training plan that we create based on what they tell us. However, for the DIY, they do get the training videos that show them how to make a training plan. So we don't do it for them, they do it for themselves, but they get the information that shows them exactly how to do it, which is valuable. So the other thing with the pro, I think there was something. So the 30-minute meeting is really about introducing the customer and the VA, talking through the training plan so that they both understand what the plan is moving forward and that they agree to it. Oh, and also what we give them is the, what do you call it?
the written
Like the handbook. Yeah. We ask a lot of questions ahead of time, and then we turn that into kind of like an employee manual or a handbook that can be referred to so that you guys are both on the same page about what the rules are for working with each other and what can be expected. So that's pretty cool as well. And then the executive is just for really busy people who don't have time probably to even watch this video, or they just understand that they're not going to be good at that and they want nothing to do with it. The thing about the executive package is that you still have to train your VA in the future. So we're not training them on everything in the world. We will do the most important things, like the most important aspects of your, your business, but you're still going to have to train them in the future. So we include those training videos, like these videos, for everybody to be able to reference at any time. So that is the difference. Does anybody have any questions so far? There's been a bunch of questions the last couple of days. So if anybody has questions and they could like throw them onto the screen, that might help other people too, because I know like it feels like people are a little scared. Okay, not scared, nervous is a better word, about getting started, because a lot of it I think is about the responsibility that's going to be put on them. And I know this was true for me. I really, really, really wanted a VA, but I also really, really didn't want to train anybody or deal with any of that. And as soon as I thought about it, my head would get cloudy and I just would stop, Will the, yes, Jordan.
Who's Bill B? Okay, hi Bill B. Are you watching?
So I guess what I'm saying is we really try, like, okay, as a home service provider myself, been in the industry for 28 years and being very ADD in my life, my whole life is about how to make it easier for me to get things done. And it's a lot about hacking my brain to make it so that I do things even when I don't want to. And so, because I can be such a creative person, I love coming up with ideas. It's like my favorite thing. But I do not like implementing anything because that's not the fun part usually, right? And I definitely don't like to finish the projects I start. So having a VA has been so helpful for me in that way. But I would say that because of my being very like hyper focused and the attention to detail that I also have, I've tried to create this with Dean so that anybody who comes in who doesn't know anything about this is going to learn as much as they want to. And we're going to make it as easy as possible for them. Like we really have tried to make it so easy and simple so that they can be successful. Because that's what we want. We want people to be successful.
Yes, Mel, because just like when I'm still your VA that time, it's like your weakness is my strength.
Yes.
Like and my most probably my weakness is your strength. That's why we are so compatible. And that's why we're a business partner right now.
Yeah.
And we have a question, Mel.
Ooh, exciting. Okay. So it depends. Some VAs are workaholics and they want the extra hours and they want the extra money because they might have a goal. Like Dean, what was your goal last year?
Last year, I have a goal of having, my own house. By the help of my client, Mel, and also she also referred me to her other friends. I already get a down payment for this house, and I started, paying it monthly, and I'm so grateful for.
Well, but the point is, you were kind of a workaholic too. Like you worked a lot of hours. You were very dedicated to your goals.
50 hours a week.
Yeah. And that was and I think I hired you saying oh, I'm 20 hours or something. And within a week or two, it was up to 50. So once I saw what Dean could do, I was like, I don't want to do anything anymore. So, but yes, you can find people who are willing to do that. However, it really depends on, let's say, Jordan, we get you the exact right VA for, the things that you wanted specifically, and they're not willing to do nights and weekends. Well, you probably can find somebody who is willing to do nights and weekends, and just as a part-time job because they have another job maybe on the weekdays, you know. Dean, I noticed that a lot of people in the Philippines don't seem to like working on Sunday, or it's not as, I don't know if that's true or if I'm just sensitive to Sundays, but how do people feel about Sundays?
Most of the Filipinos are, you know, want to spend time with their family during Sundays. And some other, companies here in the Philippines are just like mostly have like a Mondays to Saturdays, working days. So it's just they just want to spend the time, the day, the Sunday for their
Yeah,
family.
but they
So
would be working for on that end, it would be 12 hours later
mhm,
in the Philippines. So they'd really be working nights anyway on their time. Wait a minute, we on the weekends, but then
we,
on evenings it would be morning time for
mhm,
them.
yeah.
So does that make sense, Jordan? I can't tell if I over explained it, but
You said
okay.
thanks.
Thank you for the question. That was a good one. And
Yeah.
actually, somebody else had asked me about that too, of just like, well, can I get a VA to work nights and weekends? Yes. As long as in your ad you say nights and weekends, you're going to get people who are applying because they do want nights and weekends, or whatever that translates to for their time. So it's just about being really clear on what you want. And we go through that in our questionnaire. We ask so many detailed questions. It's a little, maybe some would say too detailed, but every question has a reason.
Right.
So even just about time, we talk a lot about time and what, are they going to be working overtime ever? If so, is it going to be nights? Is it going to be weekends? We want to know all that stuff ahead of time so that we can be very clear with the VA in the job ad that we're doing, what would be the expectations, right?
But Mel, just to add is because other virtual assistants or working from home, workers here in the Philippines are most likely want to uh, work like weekends because they need to like save or bills to pay or they need additional like income. So probably they will get it also
Yeah,
the additional workload.
I think it's always better if you can have one VA working for you because they're just focused on you. And
Yep.
if they have another job, then they're not fully focused on you. And that's where like problems can happen. It doesn't mean that's true for everybody, but
Mhm.
I do feel like some people have asked like, can you get a part-time VA? And
Mhm.
I say, you're not going to want a part-time VA when they start working for you. You're going to put them at full-time once you see what they're capable of. But you can get a part-time VA, but
Mhm.
you're going to run into a potential issue if they have, if they're you know, if they're working another job, you
Mhm.
know. Can you still
Yep.
hear me?
Yep.
Cool. Okay. So that's what we've experienced and what we've heard. So do you have anything else to say about like how people look at like the work hours in the Philippines? Compared, like, so I know that when we've talked to a lot of VAs, they talk about almost exclusively, people are talking about how with the pandemic, before that they were doing 2 hour commutes each way or an hour commute to work each way. It was horrible. It takes time, it takes money. I want to see my kids.
Yeah.
And so they're willing to sacrifice certain aspects of maybe time, at home, meaning like they're willing to work nights because they can still see their kids in the day and stuff like that. We've really
Mhm.
heard a lot of that being important. What else have you heard?
Yeah, that's true, Mel. Because I also experienced that I don't have my own car. That's why I'm traveling like publicly. Using public transportation to go to my corporate job
And
work.
that's common, right? That's like what people
That's
do.
common here. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's common here in the Philippines. And most probably, I think I will go like, yeah, you're right, like 2 hours, like back and forth to your house. And I experienced like my home is already in my office. You know what I mean? Because when I started working from home, it's it's just like I gave myself a freedom, like
Yeah.
freedom of, giving time for my loved ones, my family, and also, my hobbies, my, you know, um, also giving myself, like, in terms of break, because for like 7 or 8 years it's just, it's just the same routine. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have any time with my loved ones and my family. And yeah, it's really true that.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. We've watched a lot of our VA friends go on and be able to get a lot of their freedom back. So
Mhm,
I think something that has been, I'll just be very honest, something that is hard for me, and I think for other people sometimes,
mhm,
is the idea of, well, first of all, some people say, well, I only want to hire in America, only
mhm,
Americans, which is fine. I actually understand that, but right now it's really hard in America because
mhm,
American workers tend to value their time too, and they're thinking a lot more about what their time is worth and what if they like what they're doing, or they really want more than what, like when I was younger, what I wanted from a job.
mhm.
And so
Yep.
it's harder and harder to find really good help around here, and also it's very expensive. So
Mhm,
I understand the idea of only hiring, from the country that you're in, but
mhm,
it's just because of the cost of living being so much lower in the Philippines, it's just
mhm,
so much more
mhm.
affordable to
Yep.
hire from the Philippines. And the other thing I love about it is, like, I love helping people. I don't care where you are in the world. Like,
Mhm,
I am just somebody who loves, like, making the world a better place.
yep.
And in America, I could not give as much to my employees as I can to Filipino workers.
Mhm,
My dollar here does not go very far. And I'm still hiring American workers. Like for my business, we still have people that I hire. But for the office side of things, like I have found that having a VA is so much more affordable, and I'm able to change somebody's life. Like
right.
we're changing lives, like
Mhm,
really changing their lives.
mhm.
And that's the goal that you and I have, is like we are very, like we want to help people. That's
Yep.
something that we're motivated by.
Mhm,
But what I will say is that I do feel sometimes like, not I feel a little guilty when I'm saying, oh, you can hire somebody for $5 an hour. And that's actually more. Like a lot of places we're seeing $3, $4 an hour.
yep.
And so we're already at, like, if you start at 5, that's at least close to a living wage. Like people
Mhm,
can, that's like good enough money to start for a lot of people. Is
mhm.
that true, Dean?
Yeah, it's true, Mel. Because, like, mostly, just want to share, yeah, the income here in the Philippines is much more lower than that. I mean,
Yeah.
we also have like a fixed rate here, like for per month. That's what you call the salary. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, and we just have, the benefits. And yeah, we have the benefits, and we need to, pay that. Like, we have like an HR department for that, and they will just, they are the one who will process that, like the SSS, the pag-ibig. I know you don't, guys don't know it,
Well,
but
we
it's,
do. We have
I
that
mean,
here too,
mhm,
but it's different because
yep.
it's voluntary. When you're
Hmm.
somebody who works from home in the Philippines, it's
Hmm.
voluntary that you're
Right.
right now. That'll
Yep.
probably change, but I'm
Voluntarily.
getting lower. I feel like I'm getting lower.
Yeah, a bit, because yeah, you're right. Like, it's like more like for now, for when I started working from home, it's a voluntary, contribution.
Yeah.
So in the future it will help me, because
Yes.
in terms of, the government, if I need, some sort of cash, they will help me
Yes.
through that.
But
So
you're in a
mhm,
better position than a lot of Filipinos are. And
mhm,
so there's a lot of people who are just living literally paycheck to paycheck, just like
yep.
Americans are. And so, it's really up to the VA how they
Mhm,
do it.
mhm.
Do VAs get paid time? Great question.
Hi,
Yes,
Ed.
Ed is my good friend and he loves you, Dean. He he is always the
Aw.
most loving person. So anyway, yes, in our questionnaire, we actually ask the business owner What
Mm-hmm.
are you willing to do paid time off, and what days, what holidays? We list all of the major Filipino holidays, the ones that are voluntary, the ones that are mandated. And we also talk about the 13th month pay, which is, you can explain that one because it's different from
Yes.
here.
Yeah, so Ed, everyone who's watching, 13-month pay, it is like a bonus for the, Filipinos, workers in the Philippines. So, I worked in a company that they pay it or they give it to the employees one time, like most probably like first week of December, and other companies are giving it like twice, so like June
Like
and
half and half.
half and half, right? So June and December.
And
And
it's
yep.
1/12 of your yearly income.
Yes, right.
So it's like
Yep.
a bonus month of pay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
One.
mandated by the government that
Mm-hmm.
even private companies give that to employees.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. I would love to learn more about why that came to be, or how that came to be, because it's such an interesting thing. I would
Mm-hmm.
love for me to get a
A
bonus
memorandum.
month. Yeah. But we talk about that, like, I think it's really important. Business owners are going to do what they're going to do, but a lot of business owners don't have HR training, have
Mm-hmm.
no idea how to handle having office help or a virtual assistant. So we really try to guide them, and we do say, like, if you want your VA to be loyal to you and you want them to do their best work and
Mm-hmm.
care about you, you have to show that you care about them. And it's not always going to be about money, but giving them their Filipino holidays off paid, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, and giving them a 13th month bonus. You might just call it a bonus here, because we do give bonuses to people when they're doing good work or whatever. And at the holidays, a lot of businesses do that too.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like an important part of their culture, and honoring the culture of Filipinos is a way of showing that you're caring. And I think you can never go wrong with that.
Right, Mel, because you're right, because it's not always about the money, because Filipinos are very appreciative. Like, even if you just praise them, you're so
Yeah.
great, you're a great worker, they're just, their heart are melting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just a piece of advice. If your VA or your future VA would like, can give you a smooth, process on your workload, just give them a little bit of like a praise, because it's, means a lot to them.
Yeah. And for instance, some of the things that we've talked about giving, like paying them extra, like to help get, because in America, you get kind of to choose internet access, but it's pretty good here. Like, you're not going to have trouble with your internet level. But in the
Oh,
Philippines,
sorry. Yep, I'm here.
people can choose different levels of internet.
Mm-hmm.
So paying your VA an extra little bit to make sure they have the highest speed internet is not only going to help you, but it's going to help
Mm-hmm.
them, because that's not
Mm-hmm.
something they have to pay for. Or if they're doing a great job for you, getting them like headphones or a new computer when they're, eventually it's going to help you, but it really is helping them as
Mm-hmm.
well. So, and it doesn't cost us as a business owner a lot of money. It's the cost of doing business, but it's very meaningful. We just talked a lot about buying people things and giving them money, but like you said too, praise is very, very important. And it's one of the things business owners struggle with the most. I certainly did. I've gotten much better over time, because you have to be so mindful. But I know that I always am just thinking in my head naturally, like, well, they know they're doing a good job, because I only tell them when they're doing a bad job. So they can just assume they're doing a good job until I say that they need to fix something. And that is on anywhere in the world, that does not work as a way of managing people. And so we try to give as much praise as possible. Also, because I'm always really grateful when anybody is doing anything to help my business move forward in some way, or my life move forward. Like, that's such a giving act, even if it's for, pay. Most people aren't working just for pay. They're working for
Mm-hmm.
satisfaction and
Yep.
feeling like they're doing a good job in what they do, because they care
Yes.
about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And sorry to interrupt. What's a normal pay raise structure?
Performance or time with companies. So I always think it's better to do performance based, but to have very clear metrics as to what it looks like for. So in my last company, what I did is I set up a system where there were levels. So if you were like at this level, your training level, you get this much per hour. And you have to be able to do all these things, whatever they were, like, complete a house with, bringing in $70 an hour or whatever on your own. So doing all of these things. And then you can also see, they could see very clearly what the next level was. If they wanted to get a pay raise, they could say, Mel, I'm at the next level. I think I'm ready to get a pay increase. And that in theory is how it was supposed to work. It didn't always work that way. But what I try to do is make it very transparent and clear how everybody can move forward.
Yep.
And then also set clear metrics of what that will look like, both on a weekly basis. So for office help, especially, we had checklists of all of the things that they needed to be doing each day. Each day of the week, because every week there's different things on different days, even though there's common tasks as well. And then based on that, also sometimes I would just give bonuses just because I was so thrilled with what somebody was doing. Or, if it felt like I was doing really well, then I wanted to reward everybody else, But I think it's best when you can show your employees the path forward and they can take the initiative, because otherwise it is just random. And I'm sure, Jordan, you've experienced this with employees where you can have two employees. One's been there longer, but they're kind of the lazier one maybe. And the other one is a hustler and they've been there less time. Well, who deserves the pay raise? It's not the person just because they were there the longest. It took me a long time to get over that mindset of, time with the company, because that is how it works in my husband's companies that he's worked for. The big corporations just always do a yearly review and give you your dollar an hour or 3% increase or whatever. It's just automatic. And that doesn't motivate people to work harder or more efficiently or to think smarter. So that's what I would say about performance-based pay. But and when I'm wondering also, if you mean paying an hourly wage and plus more for performance. And I don't think that's what you meant, but just in case you did mean that, I have tried to do that before too with my window cleaners, where there was a time in my life where nobody would clean the trucks and nobody would bring the towels. And there were certain tasks that drove me crazy because they were mothering tasks. I'd have to remind them and nag them like a mother, which is the last thing I wanted to do in my business. Some people would show up late. So what I did is I changed my whole pay structure. This was my last, I was just at my wit's end. And I said, guess what, guys? You don't make $15 an hour anymore. Whatever the minimum wage was is what I made the base pay. Said base pay is this, but guess what? You can make up to $17 an hour if it's an extra $2 an hour if you do these things consistently every day. If you do these things, you get an extra $3 an hour. And I thought about, what is it really worth to me to not have to nag people to do things they should be doing anyway, but also to take the time to fix it myself. If I had to go clean the van, that took time. So how much should I be deducting from them for that time? What would make me feel okay about it? And that actually, I think, is a brilliant way to do it, but it only works if you're consistent. So it didn't work for me because I would have to check every day and I am not good at remembering to check things. So eventually it just petered out. But the phase 2 of that plan did work because I hired one of my employees to become the kind of the operations manager. And it simply was hiring somebody who was great at their job, who I thought was a leader, showed leadership skills, to do the extra things, to kind of be my buffer and to be in charge of those extra things that drove me crazy. And they were usually a very consistent type of person. And so with that kind of person being a buffer, it actually does work. So anyway, that was a long tangent, but I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, Mel. I love the metrics because the employees have, like they want to attain this like level. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm already on it, and I want to attain the level two. So Mel, give me a
Yes.
raise. So
Yeah.
I just love it, and it's also like a documented part of like the
Yes.
process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it takes it off of you to remember as a
Hmm.
business owner,
Business
because a
owner.
lot of times as a business owner we are stuck in our head with
Hmm.
dealing with a million things, and it's
Right.
not that we're not thinking about our employees, because we are. That's a whole part of it, but it
Mm.
can often look like we don't care because we only yell at them when they do something wrong, and we don't praise them, and we also don't give them raises when they deserve it. And so it's a way of putting it on your employee, the responsibility,
Mhm.
because guess what? They're grown-ups, they're adults, and they can
Yes.
take care of that.
Hmm.
But it is easier said than done, because you also have to coach employees to be more leadership minded, or to
Hmm.
like take more ownership. A
Hmm.
lot of times the kinds of employees I would hire for window cleaning or for my other businesses, they're usually in a transient state in their life. They're not sure what they want to do, or they're
Hmm.
working their way through something. But they also don't always come from backgrounds that were supportive of them, that engaged them or said they were smart. And
Hmm.
so I always took a lot of time and take a lot of time to make sure people know what they're capable of.
Right.
Um, so that's what I have to say about employees. And wait, normal pay raise structure. I don't think there's such a thing as normal. I don't think normal would be the best way to do it anyway. It's going to be what works best for you, Jordan. What you're comfortable with, and also what's going to motivate your,
Employees.
employees. Yeah. Dean, do you kind of think that's the
Yeah, the like I think Jordan said like she want he sorry he wants to say that uh is there like a memo or a
yeah.
standard for this like pay raise structure. So yeah, Mel is right, Jordan. It depends on, on your business, and also to your business partner, and to you, because it's also depends on the, on how the employees, work, or they are working well. And yeah, so the metrics are really, I think for me, metrics are really good for you to start with.
And it's
And
what employees crave anyway. They
mhm.
want, just like kids, I mean, because I'm a mother, so I always bring it back to children. And by the way, I'm very bad at this, but they crave, like, what is it called? That thing where you like know what's going to happen all the time. It's like not rules, but see, I don't even know the word. I've blocked it out because I refuse to do that in my own life. But they crave consistency. That's what it
Mm,
is. And so it's good to have that. We are actually working on that currently in our own company. Like, we are a work in
mm,
progress, because
yes.
we're just inventing this thing, which is so fun. We also are running, I mean, it's a business, so we are running into a lot of the same issues everybody else does, and
Mhm.
trying to figure out how the best way to work through these, issues are. So we don't have a set, for instance, we just hired an HR manager, we have a social media manager. There's like roles that we've hired for that we've
Mm,
never experienced having these people in our lives before. So we
mm,
are kind of working out their job descriptions and their metrics as we're
mhm.
going, because we
Yep.
don't quite know what they should be yet.
Yep.
But we're seeing what they should be as issues come up, or as we're like, oh, we have to remind them that that's on their job list.
Mhm.
So it might take like a month or two for you to figure out what the metrics should be, but
Mhm.
sometimes you can just randomly give like 3 or 4 metrics, like how many calls do they, if they're taking calls, for instance. I know one that people do is like, how quickly do they answer the call? Like, do they get it within 5 seconds, or whatever the thing is that, that you want them to be doing? What is the conversion rate if they're doing sales over the phone? Stuff like that can be very useful. But if it's more office based data entry, vague things,
Mhm.
it might take a little time to figure it out.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yep.
Do you help with their initial head? Well, Ed, most people come already with all of the equipment. That's a
Right.
part. So in the Philippines, Dean, you can talk about like how they have schools there that teach people
Mm-hmm.
how to be VAs. And
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and you answer this question because you'll be better.
Oh yeah. And here in the Philippines, there's a lot of, agencies. Yeah, agencies and also company who, who sometimes they give like free class for this kind of niche or virtual assistants, training courses. And some people are just, giving back because they like attained all this kind of goals, and they just want to give this free courses. And others are like giving like or selling this courses as well. And also no, because me I did not really train myself, because for 8 to 9 years I trained myself as an admin assistant. So it's just the same of like general VA, I guess, because that's the first time that I work with Mel. And
But you
yep.
had all the equipment when you came to me. Like you
Yep.
had your headset, you had a computer
Yep.
that
Yep.
you should usually give people, like we are giving people speed tests for their
Mm-hmm.
internet to make sure that their internet is fast. But most people will send you, like most VAs who are applying for a job will send you a
Mm-hmm.
screenshot of their speed test.
Yep.
So what we have helped with is when somebody has broken equipment, we will like pay to replace it.
Yeah.
It's not like you have to do that. In a way,
Mm-hmm.
they are a contractor. You might treat them as an employee, but they really are a contractor. They're working for themselves. And so they have their own equipment already. But sometimes they need upgrades. So that's what I would tend to do is help upgrade. So anybody we're hiring is probably going to be coming with everything already. If you're
Mm-hmm.
hiring, is there an education requirement? No, because oh my gosh, Filipinos are so highly educated. Like everybody has, I feel like, a PhD over there, or not true, but like a
PhD.
master's in something. Or we've had, I feel like when I'm interviewing people, sometimes they're way smarter than I am. They're quick to figure things out. Like they, so I don't place an emphasis on the education because we've also interviewed some people who don't have that background, but they are scrappy and they will learn anything quickly. They're savvy online. They
Mhm.
just figure it out. So
Mhm.
if somebody, a client, wants to have somebody who has a certain educational background, then we will advertise for that. But I don't
Mhm.
make that the priority. I think experience is the first priority.
Yep.
Having experience as a VA, or having experience, let's say somebody wants a marketing person, having
Mhm.
experience working a lot in marketing, things like that. And then secondarily would be some type of education. But I always feel, and we've done this a lot, I would rather buy a course for a really smart VA. Like if you have an awesome VA, you can give them anything to learn and they'll learn it.
Mhm.
So I've bought courses for people on, like they have on Udemy, so many courses.
Mhm.
Um, what have we bought? We bought QuickBooks for somebody who was helping
You'd.
us with books and
Mhm.
social
FB ads.
media. Like, yeah, the whole social media goes through
Mhm.
website training, like SEO, everything. It's like 20 hours long. But, is it worth your VA becoming an expert in 20 hours on, certain things? Or like I'm having Z do Facebook blueprint training because we're doing so much on Facebook. I want her to become, she's very good on Facebook and understands this so much better than I do. But I
Mhm.
want her to be on top of everything and really know what's going on because,
Yeah.
it's a waste of time if you don't take the things that are out there educationally. So a good VA would be able to take any class, and a lot of times you should offer them the ability to bring something to you that they want to learn
Mhm.
and then pay for that, because that is how you keep people passionate about the work they do.
Yes, Mel. Just to add in education, like education requirement, it's the one of the most important, Mel, is the personality itself.
Oh yeah, of
Because if there's no personality, I mean, in terms of like being honest, being transparent, like
course. Yep.
yeah, qualities of the VA. So yeah, it means like if your VA will be like honest and everything that you want for your VA, you hit the jackpot.
You
I
really
mean,
have. Yeah.
yeah. So most
And
probably this, yep. Or the third would be like the personality. Check your VA qualities.
which
So
we also include on our
yes, questionnaire.
questionnaire. We ask, what qualities are you looking for in a VA? Because for me, I want somebody who's really open,
Mm-hmm.
who is easy to get along with, who's a
Mm-hmm.
very patient person, because they need to be if they're working with me. So there's like a bunch of things that I would look for, whereas other clients we have are looking for somebody who's efficient, who's disciplined, who, works independently. Those are their first things that they want.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas those would be things I want, but they're a little bit later on the list. Personality, cheerful. They
Mm-hmm.
need to be cheerful and friendly. Those are the things that are important, because if I can't work with them on that level and feel comfortable with them, then it's
Yep.
going to be miserable.
Mm-hmm.
So it really depends on what your personality. That's why we do the DISC assessment,
Mm-hmm.
because that really helps us to see what people value, like, and how they work best, or what their focus is, and what is a complementary style to their work style. It's so
Yeah.
important, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Anything
Right.
else?
I think there's no other additional questions for now, but we still have, viewers, so.
Okay, well, one of the other things, well, keep asking questions, people.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking about, what was it? There was a question somebody asked me the other day, and I was like, well, first of all, we should again say we aren't an agency. I think it's really hard for people to understand our model, because it's hard to explain something that you're making up as you go along. And it's not like we're the first recruiters in the world or anything, but we're very specialized in my world of home service. And in that world, a lot of people there, there aren't a lot of recruiters. There are agencies who will, you get charged monthly or weekly for their services. But we didn't want that. We wanted to just be able to hire for as many people as we can, to give as many people VAs, give as many Filipinos jobs as we can, especially women. That's a big focus for us. Not that we choose women
Yes.
specifically, but I think anywhere in the world, it's harder for women who have kids to find jobs that will be able to help them support and move forward in their life and take care of their kids better, because that's usually what people want if they have a family, is to take care of their family or their parent or whatever it is. So, okay, I lost my train of thought. I was talking about
The women empowerment.
but before that, I went on a tangent. So there was something I was talking about before that. You already forgot, Dean?
Oh yeah, because I'm looking for
Question.
something. Yep, questions here.
Well, I have more tangents I can go off on. I'm always good for a good tangent. So sometimes, here's some of the issues with having a VA. I'm just going to put them all out there that I can think of. One is, if you don't have clear, like, set of rules when you start, and a clear system of how they're going to work with you, it's probably not going to work well. The other one is, oh, thank you. That's nice.
Thanks, Z.
That's nice of you to say, Z. I found that, like, I have a lot of systems I created, and I've made a lot of videos over time, because I have trouble training people in person, actually. Some people, it's easier to train them in person, but I find that I will go off on tangents, and it takes so much longer to train somebody when you're in person. When you're doing videos for people, you make a video, it can be 3 minutes long, And then if they don't get it, they can ask you questions. You know, they can say, hey, but what about this thing? What happens if this happens? And then you just make another video and clarify that part. So that is one thing. You really want to be clear about your processes. Even if you don't have systems or you think you don't have systems, you do have systems. Your systems are, you know, they exist even if they don't, they're not written down or not videoed, or you don't think of them as systems, or they don't feel like they're the most efficient. They're still systems, and that's a start. So you can literally just record yourself making phone calls, answering emails, you know, doing data entry. Just record it all. We use Loom as our software for screen recording. It works really good. And then we have a spreadsheet that we list the name of the video, and then we put a link to that video in the spreadsheet, because every video on Loom comes with a copy of the link button. So you can also download them, but I find the link is so much easier to keep track of everything. And then it's like all in one place. Your VA can find all of the videos, and it's like a training, you know, module, a training plan for them. That's kind of how we do it for home service VAs. We have clients make some training videos out of the things that they said are the most important to them. And then from that, we build their training plan. And it doesn't just have to do with their tasks. It could be there's some making sure people have customer service training if they don't have a background in that, or if they need like training on a certain software, we'll go to that software, find those videos, and train them on their software. Anything to say about that one, Dean? Just being clear about what you expect and from the start with VAs.
Okay. So as a Filipino, and yeah, I'm from the Philippines, virtual assistants are really, you know, shy in terms of being, most of the Filipinos are not, you know, open in terms of, you know, to tell you like frankly what they want to say, you know what I mean, like being straightforward, because they no we not they. I'm a Filipino. Okay, so we are, you know, we want, we are so like cautious, like
Yeah,
on what.
you don't want to cause a problem or hurt
Yeah.
somebody's feelings or get somebody
No.
mad at you. Yeah.
Yeah, because to all business owners right there. Okay, no, I'm joking. To all, you know, the, you know, business owners who wants to have their own amazing virtual assistant, just keep in mind that uh you need sometimes, but I don't know, but most of the time you need to be like the first one to move, or the first one to, you know, to talk to about this some stuffs, because
Yeah.
yeah, because as a business owner, or yeah, as a business owner or a client, you can feel it, even though it's like a virtual, you can feel it, what's your virtual assistant, you know, needs,
Or if there's like, you can feel a disconnect usually.
yep,
If you
disconnection.
feel a disconnect, you can't sit on that. You have to act, you have to talk to them.
Right.
Dean, what is something I told you that helped you to start talking to me more? I think I'm very oddly open with my VAs, but I think it was very helpful for us to be able to come close together quickly.
Yes, because guys, when I started working with Mel, we probably meet like every day, and it helps me a lot, Mel, because honestly I'm really scared, because yes, here in the Philippines, English is our second language, but for me, because I am not really like, most of the time I'm using my, you know, Tagalog, you know, language, and it is like my first time having, you know, my international friend, my client, and it is, you know, I'm afraid of like talking and talking, and you know, melodies. Okay. No, Ed, melody is not scary. I mean,
Oh, Ed, you're too kind. Yes, I'm so scary. I think I was really clear that I don't like to waste time on like on the you know, this up here, like on that level of just getting to know somebody. I don't like that part. I just want to know somebody. and I want them to know me. So I tell you everything that's wrong with me, everything that's going to happen when we work together that might annoy you. So I was just like, look, I have ADD, so I spend a lot of time with my, like, I will be in all directions. And sometimes and I think I said this very clearly, I'm giving you permission to say, Mel, you need to do this thing. And to
Yes, you're
keep
right.
me focused, I said, you are my manager. You have to know that that's one of your roles, and you never should be worried about telling me what to do. And you had, I think in the beginning, you didn't say a lot of that, but I kept saying it over and over again so that you
Yes.
knew. And the more you knew me, the more comfortable you got. And you're
Yes.
still very, very kind and patient about it, but you'll say, hey, Mel, don't forget, you're supposed to do this thing. And you keep poking, and that's the patience. That's why patience is so important with ADD people. A lot of business owners are, that struggle with it, but like, you have to keep telling them and reminding them to do these things. And then other times I'll spend like 10 hours coming up with like like that questionnaire I came up with. Like, did you expect it to be so crazy detailed? Like
It's crazy. But
yeah,
when I check it, when you send it to me, Mel, it's like, oh, it's all in here.
yeah.
Is there any
So
help that I need to do it in here? So
that's the hyper focus. So it seems like I'm a ditz most of the time because I'm like, ooh, let's do this, let's do that.
yeah.
But I get a lot done because I delegate a lot. That's why I need to have people around me who will take on these tasks. But I also can get into that hyper focus mode where I just focus all my attention on one thing for like 10 hours in a row or whatever for like a whole weekend. And then suddenly I'm like, hey guys, I did this. And it's like not expected because all week I was fiddling around doing a million things.
Right.
Did I just describe myself pretty well?
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right, Mel, because I'm really shy at first,
Yeah.
right? And I can talk to you, but it's not, as open as it is like just as now, because I don't know what to say. I don't know.
Yeah.
And the first, I mean, I think the first or second, week of our meetings, it's like more on I'm just focused on you. I'm not taking down notes that time.
Yeah.
And when I saw in you that you always have like different like topics, agendas, it's the time that, oh, I need to take down notes because this person is really, not unfocused,
Yeah.
you always have this ideas, future,
Yeah.
future ideas for the business. But yeah, that's why, the
Yeah.
virtual assistant also need to adjust for the client.
Yes.
It's not always the client.
It's not. Yes. I think it's if there's a client out there listening, or if there's somebody out there listening who's going to get a VA, you need to think. Sometimes we are in our own space of having our own insecurities. Like I used to be very insecure about who I am as a person because society is not built for my brain. School was not built for my brain. I struggled a lot growing up and trying to adapt to like school, to college, to the things that were the norms. And I just had, and when you struggle that much, you end up feeling like something's wrong with you. And I was diagnosed with ADD when I was 30, when I was trying to finish college for the 20th time, when I was running a full-time business and raising the kid and finishing college. And my doctor was just like, whoa, go get professionally tested. But what that did for me, getting a diagnosis, helped me, it changed my whole life. It changed the way I thought about myself. It also changed the way I learned because I had been trying to do what everybody else does because that's how I'd been taught, right?
Right.
So my instincts are always to do things a little bit differently maybe. And I'd learned to not trust my instincts. And so I started using my instincts a lot more. And I think the more that I've done that, the more honest and transparent I've become and more of who I am as a person.
Yep.
And I've become more successful in the things I want to do because of that. So I take risks. I'll say like a lot of things that some other people might not say, but it's always worth it because I create connections really quickly with people. And being honest about who I am with anybody, with you, with anybody who works with me, does not mean that, like, some people think you have to be a leader, you have to stay up here above everybody else, you can't show your weakness. No, being vulnerable is going to move you an actual relationship where people are going to respect you and help you move towards the goal, as long as you can say what that is, move towards that goal, because you've said to them, I have this going on and this is my superpower. You guys are here because you have these superpowers, and I know that I need you on my team, and together we're going to do that goal. We're going to get to there. So it feels purposeful. If you don't talk about it like that, people don't understand you, or they just won't. That's how loyalty is built, I think. You know what I'm trying to say, Dean? Like,
Yeah, because when you yourself like getting more on like leadership or top, top uh top leadership on you, it's just your employee will be like intimidated by you. they
yes,
can they can't open like, oh, Mel or Dean,
yeah,
I don't know what to do on this part or website or anything, that her task. And
yeah,
I think you're right, Mel. Being yourself, share your weaknesses as a person, and as a business owner, you will create, relationship with your employees. Not only that, because it's really, being honest also to your employees, and also to be your employees honest with you also.
yeah. It's like less. I used to think leadership meant, being a CEO who doesn't talk to people and just tells people what to do, because I
Yeah.
didn't understand.
Hmm.
And it's taken me years to be comfortable with the idea that I can be a leader who just encourages and coaches people and
Hmm.
keeps boundaries for myself. And that's the hardest part of leadership for me, is keeping boundaries. I've really had to work on that part, because people can feel like if you're leading them but on their level, you end up being like their friend, and then that's
Hmm.
when you start getting advantage taken of
Yep.
you. And I
Hmm.
did that a lot in my early years. So that's why I've tried to really learn how to coach and mentor people, tell them when I don't know stuff. I don't know
Yeah.
everything, but I've learned a lot. And then try to also keep a boundary where I'm not afraid to say honest things like,
Hmm.
look, what's going on? I feel like you're not yourself lately. Like, your work is different than it usually is. Is
Hmm.
something wrong? Is something going on right now? Instead of being like, you need to do better.
Yep.
There's a difference there, or just not saying anything at all, which is what a lot of people do, and I've done that too. So sometimes we
Mm.
don't like to talk about the problems with people.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
but oh, the one thing we started this conversation. Now we're on an hour, but we started this conversation talking about issues with
Process.
VAs,
Hmm.
and I would say the two issues that come up if somebody is looking to hire a VA is internet service, because in
Yeah.
America, I got started on this, but in America, internet is pretty consistent, like you
Yeah.
have it.
Hmm.
But in the Philippines, you guys have like a lot of typhoons and weather, and sometimes there's just like blackouts of internet.
Hmm.
So what I've learned, and what Dean can attest to, is that it's better when people are in a city usually than they are in the country.
Yep.
If you have a job that requires people to do phone calls and things like that, you're going to want to hire somebody who's in a bigger city.
Hmm.
If you have a job that is flexible about the times a little bit more, and it's not like demanding, but it needs a talent, like you want
Hmm.
somebody who's creative or something, but they live in the country, well, that's fine, because if their
Hmm.
internet goes out, they can make that up at a different time.
Yep.
So that's one thing I would say, because I don't want to just hire people from the city because they have good internet access. Like, you can find great people everywhere, and you just have to think about your own situation and what your needs are.
Yep. Hmm.
Yeah. Anything else?
Any additional question, guys? Um.
Well, also, I'll say we're here. I feel, as a business owner, I've never been a salesperson. I've always really felt weird about selling my services to people. And my business coach always is like screaming in their heads, I'm sure, about that. But it's just like I am a helper. I like to help people. And when I think about the money part and the sales part of it, doesn't motivate me to want to do it.
Mhm.
So now I'm in a weird position where I still want to help people, but nobody knows about what we do. So I'm just going to say very clearly, if I see that there's a question online that somebody is asking me or asking about and I can offer an answer, please know that my first priority is not to sell you our services. It's to help you. And the same for Dean. That's like kind of what we're about. But if you want our services, we are happy to let you hire us. So it's not just if you want to hire your own VA and you need help with that, we have plenty of advice we can give you. I even probably have a couple worksheets to give you. And someday I'll even have a class you can take in the very near future, I'm sure. I should set a goal.
So don't worry, guys. You can, ask questions, to Mel or to me. I don't know, but we are open to questions. But we will definitely not take advantage of you, like when you ask us. So, yeah, feel
That's
free.
such a woman thing to say too. Why it's so funny that we would have to feel the need to say that, but I do. So I'm not going to apologize for it. It's just what I am. And I will say the reason why I love us as a team is because, Dean, you are like the superpower of knowing Filipinos very well. And that's why I love it when we get to have these conversations, because your insight is, I don't know, I wouldn't be able to do this without you, because you have insight that I definitely do not have. And it makes me feel so confident that we really do understand the whole package of how to do this.
Yep.
And so I'm not usually an overly confident person. I tend to I know we're both not overly confident, but I am very confident in this because together we are such a good team. It makes me so happy that we get to work together every day. So
yeah, thanks, Mel. I mean,
thank you.
I'm always grateful. I mean, I don't know, even though I'm not saying it like every day, you can feel it to me.
Yeah,
And
no, the fact that you're still here, that means that you're
and to our employees, our team
yeah,
members, Z and Lou, thank you so much, guys, for for
just
working
being with,
hard.
yeah, because we're really trying to do something that's special, that will be something really exciting too. Like it's a new thing for me, and it's a new thing for you, and it's an adventure. And I think in the future we're going to talk more about what it's like to start a business that you don't know a lot about, because I think that's, as a business person, I'm always curious to know how other people do it. So I think we should talk about that in the future too.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you
So,
so much for being here. Thank you, Dean.
thank you, Mel, and thank you everyone who watched this live. And yeah, Jordan, Ed, Z, thank you.
Other people.
Yep.
We'll see you next week on Friday.
See you. Bye, guys.